Hello, I'm Keith O'Derrick, and welcome to this edition of Upfront. In just a matter of moments, I'll be speaking with a very talented individual that can be described in a few words. You might say that he's rhythmically inclined, you might call him a poet, or you might say that he's a rapper on a hardcore mission. Stay tuned as we get right back in Upfront with Ice T. Welcome back to Upfront. Hello, Ice. How you doing, man?
How you doing, man?
It's good to be here.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for inviting us down. First question I want to ask you is, how did you get started in the rap industry?
Well, I always was into like poetry, you know, street type poetry. I used to say it in school and I would get attention for it, but I never even knew what rapping was as far as the rap business. Then I heard this record called Rapper's Delight by Sugar Hill.
Okay.
And due to the fact I already knew how to say street rhymes, you know, because I learned how to rap, but I used to listen like Dolomite Records and Red Fox and all that kind of stuff. And that day I turned the record over and I was rapping. I had to learn how to hook my raps up to beats, but I used to know how to tell rhymes like about stories and stuff. So I was involved with that. I made a record in 1982 called The Coldest Rap. But I didn't really make any money for it. I was like anybody else in the business. First time out, you're not gonna make any money because I got taken, I didn't know, I signed to a crazy contract, and I really wasn't, or didn't feel I was ever gonna be successful in the music business. So I went back to my old thing. I was out on the streets hustling, doing all kinds of crimes and stuff. And then I was fortunate because I still rapped as a pastime, you know, and I was in this club called The Radio, when the movie Breaking Part 1 came in there. And then luckily I'm living in California and they walked in and they said, well, we want you to be the rapper, you'll be the DJ. And I was so dumb at the time.
No, you don't have to say you were dumb.
No, I was dumb, well, when they came at me, they said, you want to be in this movie? And I was dumb. I was on the streets and I was out there stealing and doing crazy things and I didn't even want to be in the movie. I was like, yo, man, I don't need to be in your movie, man. I'm out here getting paid. And my boys who I was hanging out with at the time, they said, Ice, man, you need to cool out, man. You got a chance, man. White people like you, man. You can get paid like Eddie Murphy, man. You don't need to be out here with us. And that's when I really realized that they had low self-esteem. They knew what we were doing was wrong. And they kind of pushed me into it. They kind of shut me out. Wouldn't allow me to be down with any of that negative stuff for a while. And I slowly got involved with the rap scene. It took me about 6 years to get here. But in that 6 years, all of them either been to prison, 2 of them are in jail, life sentences without possibility of parole, the rest of them are dead. It's kind of like they knew, because now it's like they're living their life through me. It's like, if Ice is successful, I can be successful. Something can happen for me. It's not like they leeching. They just see me holding the door open that nobody else could get that door open for them. That door has applications and rules and regulations. And you get out here in this business and you see people who are just so bent on making that money, that is so bent on making that money, they'll sit in the studio and it's like, yo man, is this gonna be a hit record? Is this gonna be on radio? You know, radio ain't controlling you. You know what I'm saying? I ain't getting played on the radio, right? But I'm on your TV show.
Right.
See what I'm saying? So in other words, you can't allow radio. I wasn't getting played on New York radio, but I was on video jukebox every day. So the kids would come home from school every day and watch me on TV, where they weren't even playing the other records in rotation out there. It's a type of a thing where the weak ones will get out. If you honest and true, your message is gonna get through. You ain't gotta go that route. And I mean, don't get me wrong, some of these people who are going after the money are getting the money. But I don't want that money. You know, it's like, respect is more important, man. Respect is more important. You walking down the street, yo, man, that was a good record. That's one thing. When people say, yo, man, I like what you saying, man. It's a whole nother kind of a feeling, you know? It's more important. Yo, man, I saw you on Donnie, Ice, man. You told that lady what time it was, man. You didn't go under. Because they laying for a sellout. They laying for me just to, like, you know, get corny and go for a Coke commercial or something. And I can't do that, you know? I can't do that. Like I was saying, if I was in this thing for the money, I'd still be out on the streets. I'd still be out there doing wrong, because there's people on the streets making way more money than people in the music business. When I was out on the streets hustling and stealing, I made more in one weekend than I have made in my entire rap career, and I got platinum records. I got platinum record for Breaking. I got gold record from Colors, gold record, and I made more in one weekend.
How did you get connected with the soundtrack for Breaking and Colors?
Well, see, the Breaking soundtrack, like I'm saying, it was something that I was just in the right place at the right time. I was totally out of touch with the rap scene, but I was a rapper, you know. We would go into clubs, and my boys would be like, yo, Ice, man, why don't you going up on the stage and rap? I'm like, man, I ain't rapping, man. I ain't rapping. But they knew if I rapped, they could get girls. Girls would come to them. So what they would do is go to the DJ and pay him off. Like we go in a Red Onion, and then, no, there's no rapping here. Give the man a few $100. Next thing you know, I'm DJing in the club. You know? So I'm up here rapping in this club radio, which this guy named Alex Jordan gave me a break at, and the movie guys just walked in, and they just said, hey, man, we want you to be in the movie. So I was in the movie, and this guy named Chris Taylor, he asked him, he said, hey, why don't you let us make a song in this movie? And then we lucked up, they let us make a song. The album sold 5 million records. We got a royalty check. I was like, man, Ryan pays. It was like the first check I'd ever got legitimate from it. And I was like, man. But then it took me still a long time, 5 years, to get a record deal. Now, the way I got into Colors, I had my record deal on Warner Brothers. Okay. And Dennis Hopper liked the song Squeeze the Trigger off of the Ryan Pays album. Okay. And he respected Squeeze the Trigger because I shot real straight. You know, he could tell that I was speaking from my heart, and he said, well, I need somebody who's willing to shoot straight because I'm shooting straight with this movie. A lot of people ain't going to like this movie, but I'm doing as good as I can. You know, a lot of people criticize the movie, but Dennis Hopper ain't from no gang situation, and he tried to shoot the movie, and he had people down there who helped him, and I think the movie was as real as he could get it, you know. I don't think he sensationalized. I actually think he de-glamorized gangs in Los Angeles, because gang members don't all live in burnt-out houses. A lot of them are riding around in Ferraris and Benzes right now. So he asked me to come see the movie, and I sat up and I looked. I went in there with an attitude, because I had been involved with the gangs when I was in high school. And I'm like, what does this man know about gangs? You know, I want him. So I watched the movie, and I said, well, he didn't make the cops look like angels. He didn't make the gangs look like angels. It's a pretty good movie. I said, well, okay, man. I said, you should let me score some of the scenes for the movie, you know. And I wanted to score. He told me Herbie Hancock was scoring the movie, you know, because I think that movie had kind of a rhythm to it, and I could look at a scene and make music to match it. But then he let Africa Islam and us. Finally, a week later, he called us up and he said, yeah, you want to come score it? So me and Islam came in, we scored a few scenes. Then I turned back around, I said, yo, you should let me do the title song. He said, yeah, right, we'll get back, you know. But in this business, you got to assert yourself. Any chance you get, always don't be afraid to say, hey, let me, or you're not going to get anywhere.
From looking at that Colors video, there's a message behind how that all came together. Can you tell us about that?
Well, actually, when the chance came to do the song, I was like I was saying, I was wanting to do it. I asked the man, let me do it. Then he said, okay, do it. And then all the pressure dropped on us, because we were like, well, how can we make a song that's going to deal with gangs really, you know? So I thought of a whole bunch of different ways, but I said, let me write it from the perspective of the gang member, you know, because I've been involved with that before. So I just like put my mind on rewind, and I went back and I started rapping. I would write just like the gang member would think. And when we finished the song, Africa Islam, who's my producer, said, yo, man, this sounds like a pro-gang record, you know? It sounds like you're pumping the gangs up. Right. And we were really worried about it, because we didn't want to go out there and get any kids involved with the gang. But then I said, well, look, if a gang member were to rap about his life, he'd have to seem like he was pro it, because why would anybody get into something that they know is totally negative, even though he has maybe a bent form of mentality or way of thinking? That's like if you go to any war, each side thinks they're totally correct for fighting this war. And so we let the rap go, and it became like an educational device for people who look at this and say, you know, they see the gang situation in Los Angeles, and they say, well, you should be able to snap your fingers and tell these kids to stop. I wanted this character just to scare the hell out of people and say, whoa, these kids are very serious about this. And maybe then the people who could help would come in and deal with the problem. When the record was released for the radio, though, I put disclaimers in it. That's why you see the gang member talking in the breaks, to kind of emphasize the fact that he doesn't want to be involved in it, and don't get involved in it. Please don't. And then at the end, I even put another disclaimer where I speak, please stop, because I want y'all to live. Because I really wanted people to understand that I don't want the gangs to continue the gang violence, at least. I don't really have any problem with the kids being in units and groups.
Right.
Because sometimes the gangs make up for where the family didn't, fill in. But then the violence is something that we can't tolerate, because we're just brothers out there killing brothers, and they gotta realize that before it's too late. So we made the song. It caused a lot of controversy. A lot of people didn't get the message. A lot of people did. And it's just another Ice T record, controversy.
Colors. Yo, please stop, because I want y'all to live. This is Ice T. Peace.
There's been so much talk about the young lady that's on your album cover. I've heard that was your girlfriend, your lover, your wife. Who is the young lady that's on the Power album cover?
That's Darlene. That's my wife. She's been with me ever since before I was making half-decent records and stuff. I had a lot of other, jive time girlfriends, but she was the first one to come in. And like when I was trying to rap and I was on that thin line between going out and doing something wrong or trying to make it in this business, she came along. She said, hey, I don't need all them things, you know what I'm saying? She caught the bus, got a job, worked for 2 years, and made me capable of putting all my mind on this music, because the rent was paid and stuff. And then, I got the chance to do my first album, and the guy said, well, we need a California album cover. Let's have you in a sports car and a palm tree and a whole bunch of girls around you in bathing suits. So I was like, well, I got the sports car and the palm tree, we all can get hold of one of them, but I wasn't really comfortable with a whole bunch of girls, because I wasn't living like that.
Right.
So I said, well, look, my girl look all right in a bathing suit. Why don't we put her in there? And that's just one girl, So we shot the Ron Pay's album cover, and it was a success. Then all of a sudden, Darlene was getting more fan mail than me. So I said, well, dang, this girl got it going on. So the rent was getting paid now. So Darlene, just from that cover, we did so good on the album, she was able to quit her job, and that's something I really wanted her to do, because I didn't really like her working for somebody. She'd come home, oh, my boss, I'm like, where you at? I'm going to go beat him up. So now she's able to do her secretary work. She helps me with the business, and we're like business partners. She can handle all the secretary work and all that kind of stuff and the typing, and I, try to make the decision. Now, Power Time came around, and everybody was like, well, what album cover are we going to shoot? And it was no question, Darlene had to be on the album cover. Okay. So we said, well, we want something to look kind of like James Bondish. So we get Darlene. Darlene threw on her bathing suit. Boom, the cover was shot, and everybody went into comas across America. It's like, this girl is not real. This girl isn't real. That she really, they say, well, what's she doing Ice now? I'm like, she's washing the dishes. She don't wash dishes. Yeah. So it's been, she's getting, really good response from it. And, we went to London, and all the women said, oh, it's sexist. You have this girl unclothed. And I'm like, well, James Bond been shooting that picture for years, and he's from where you guys are from. He's from London, Great Britain, the United Kingdom. Get off of it. And then you have some women who'll say, oh, I don't like it. She doesn't have any clothes on. I don't like it. You have other women that say, if I had a body like that, I would never put any clothes on.
Absolutely.
So it's the kind of a thing where I don't see it as exploitation. I just see it as two people out there trying to get the rent paid, Plus, the album cover was called Power. And I was dealing with all the different power plays. You have the powers of sex. They use sex to sell car mufflers, sex to sell Bayer aspirin and anything, And I was dealing with the powers of weapons, because I heard our president say, military strength equals power equals peace. That's where I put the guns on the cover. Also, I wanted to deal with the powers that you see and don't see. You look at that cover, you say, hey, she's the bad guy. You turn it around and see we got the guns. So what I'm trying to raise the question is, who's more powerful? Who's the devil? The person who, the boss who says, go fire him, I don't like him, or the boss? Okay. The person who does it, the guy with the gun out front or the one with the one behind his back? Who's really more dangerous? And finally, I was shooting at a hardcore audience, and I had to use hardcore depiction, And black kids, they see a gun that's like tough to them, you know. It's the same way heavy metal rock and rollers use satanic type things, 5-pointed stars, and people say, oh, they're devil worshippers. They're not devil worshippers. They're just using what to the white kids is hardcore, you know. You show a black kid an Iron Maiden album covered with a skull and all kinds, they're like, oh, monsters, you know. They don't want nothing to do with it. But you show a black kid a gun or a bottle of beer, he doesn't look at it as like the same way other people think they look at it. They say, that's a gun, you know what I'm saying? It's tough, it's rough, you know? And I draw those kids in with that gun, and then hopefully when they listen to my music, they realize, yo, if I use this gun, man, this is what trouble I'm gonna be in. Right. So it's a technique to grab that audience, and I think I got them, you know, and hopefully they learn.
I'd like to thank you for giving us this opportunity to come down to your place and do this interview, Ice T.
Hey, thanks for having me anytime, man. You know, you're always welcome here.
Absolutely. And I'd like to thank you for tuning in to this edition of Upfront. And if you'd like to write to us, we'd love to hear from you. Until next time, I'm Keith O'Derrick with Ice T saying keep your head to the sky and keep your dreams alive. So long.